Oh, I don't think it got my excellent. Excellent. Never mind.
Excellent.
Yes, your excellent is much more excellent.
Disagree, but we just finished that live stream with the fan casting. It was super fun. Thank you, everyone that turned out.
Yes, thank you. It was so much fun. Thanks for all the engagement, all the chatting. Really good. Made it even more enjoyable. Thanks, Gray, for joining us. Yeah. We'll see you when we're producing the movie, yeah?
Yes. So this was a really good chapter. I think there's a lot of subtle work being done.
Subtle work. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just trying to picture, and I guess yes, there is and there's a lot of I suppose maybe what the way I'd word it is like the intrigue is that the strategic Game of Houses stuff is happening. Not Game of Thrones, Game of Houses, Wheel of Time.
Yes.
Is happening. I like all of those intricacies. And then a little sprinkle of Vin work at the end.
Yes, and a few new characters to boot.
Yes, indeed. We did not cast these new characters today, although Dorkus did give us an example of two of them. But yeah, we cast the live stream. If you haven't seen it yet, whoa, where you been? Or just go and revisit it because it'll be weeks ago now by the time this airs. Go and have a look at our fan casting. See what you think. It is up until chapter 9. Well, chapter 18. Yeah.
Yes. But also, hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, ThatDarnKitteh.
Hey!
Kitteh and I are both going into this story completely new, with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment, we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experiences along the way. This is Mistborn Abridged, a blind read-through, and today we will be covering Chapter 19.
Chapter 19! Quan and I met by happenstance, though I suppose he would use the word providence. I've met many other Terrace philosophers since that day. They are, every one, men of great wisdom and ponderous sagaciousness, men with an almost palpable importance. Not so Quan. In a way, he is as unlikely a prophet as I am a hero. He never had an air of ceremonious wisdom, nor was he a religious scholar. When we first met, he was studying one of his ridiculous interests in the Great Clenny Library. I believe he was trying to determine whether or not trees could think. That he should be the one who finally discovered the great hero of Terrace prophecy is a matter that would cause me to laugh, had events turned out a little differently. Okay. Ponderous sagaciousness.
Yes, I forgot to look that up, but yes, I looked it up now.
And what did you find, Kitteh?
Having or showing keen mental discernment and good judgment, wise or shrewd. So, yeah, good word. Not as good as maladroitly, but we're okay. I guess it's close second. Yeah.
I had in my mind that sort of essence when I heard that there were Terrace philosophers. So this is right on the money as far as what I had been imagining. The important thing here that sticks out to me is that Epigraph Man seems to fully believe now that he is the hero. That he should be the one who finally discovered the great hero of Terrace prophecy is a matter that would cause me to laugh had events turned out a little differently. Suggests that he does believe Quan found him, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. It does make sense. He's the one that was found. Quan and I met by happenstance, and obviously he uses the word providence that brings in the whole religious sort of matter prophecy sort of thing. Yeah, it's we're back in this place. I don't know when this is, but we're back in this place where he said because in some passages we have him not believing he's the hero. In others he does. So this is one where he does.
We've got Quan as a bit of an eccentric amongst his peers. Let's get into the chapter then.
Okay.
Kelsier could feel another Allomancer pulsing in the mists. The vibrations washed over him like rhythmic waves brushing up against a tranquil shore. They were faint but unmistakable. He crouched atop a low garden wall, listening to the vibrations. The curling white mist continued its normal placid wafting, indifferent, save for the bit closest to his body, which curled in the normal allomantic current around his limbs. Kelsier squinted in the night, flaring tin and seeking out the other allomancer. He thought he saw a figure crouching atop a wall in the distance, but he couldn't be certain. However, he recognized the allomantic vibrations. When burned, each metal gave off a distinct signal, recognizable to one who was well practiced with bronze. The man in the distance burned tin, as did the 4 others Kelsier had sensed hiding around Keep Tekiel. The 5 tin eyes formed a perimeter, watching the night, searching for intruders. Kelsier smiled. The great houses were growing nervous. Keeping 5 tin eyes on watch wouldn't be that hard for a house like Tekiel, but the noblemen allomancers would resent being forced into simple guard duty. And if there were 5 tin eyes on watch, chances were good that a number of thugs, coinshots, and lurchers were on call as well. Luthadel was quietly in a state of alert.
Mm-hmm.
Have we heard the term coinshots and lurchers yet?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think that would be the people that push and pull metal. So like a lurcher would pull themselves towards something, coin shot, push metal out. We're just note. I don't know about you, Dorcas, but I'm trying to stay away from the glossary because I like the way things
Same.
are revealing themselves to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I lose track when it comes around again, then I'll go and look at the glossary. But yeah, so coin shots I think would be people that push metal, lurchers would be people that pull themselves towards. Yeah.
Excellent.
Also, one thing there, new magic system thing. There are certain vibrations that will tell you what metal somebody is burning. It's not just that they're burning it. You can sense which metal it is if you
Yes,
have enough
that is
experience. Cool. I like that idea. That's good.
Slightly different auras.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have. I don't think we have Vin experiencing that yet. So yeah, I like that. I like that little. Just we're still learning more about this magic. It was good.
And for as talented as Vin is, she likely still has a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
The great houses were growing so wary, in fact, that Kelsier had trouble finding cracks in their defenses. He was only one man, and even Mistborn had limits. His success so far had been achieved through surprise. However, with 5 tin eyes on watch, Kelsier wouldn't be able to get very close to the keep without serious risk of being spotted. Fortunately, Kelsier didn't need to test Tekiel's defenses this night. Instead, he crept along the wall toward the outer grounds. He stopped near the garden wall and, burning bronze to make certain no allomancers were near, reached into a stand of bushes to retrieve a large sack. It was heavy enough that he had to burn pewter to pull it free and throw it over his shoulder. Lingering in the night for a moment, he strained for sounds in the mist, then hauled the sack back toward the keep. He
Hold
stopped
it?
near... Hold it!
Okay. I have a question. When he picked up a sack, what did you think was in it?
Exactly
Did you
what was in it.
Yeah,
be
okay,
honest.
cool. No, I had the same feeling. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know why. You just felt it.
The
Yeah.
motive was a little bit different for me. So I
Okay.
thought that it was, unless I'm not remembering, I haven't revisited the chapter since I read it after our last record. It's a body, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it's not a Tekiel body. It's the body of a rival.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be a dead Tekiel.
Oh, okay. Oh, because you thought in context he had killed someone right there.
Yeah,
Or
and like
okay.
intended to be a warning to Tekiel rather
Yeah.
than a signal to other houses regarding Tekiel.
Okay. Yeah, you had more in depth going on. I was just like heavy thing and plot, and I just went straight to body. I don't know, just a sack, I suppose. You're just
Yeah,
like, okay, yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to see what went through your mind there.
He stopped near a large whitewashed garden veranda that sat beside a small reflecting pool. Then he heaved the sack off his shoulder and dumped its contents, a freshly killed corpse, onto the ground. The body, which had belonged to one Lord Char's Entrone, rolled to a stop with its face in the dirt, twin dagger wounds glistening in its back. Kelsier had ambushed the half-drunken man on a street just outside a Ska slum, ridding the world of another nobleman. Lord Entrone, in particular, would not be missed. He was infamous for his twisted sense of pleasure. Ska blood fights, for instance, were among the true pleasures in his life. That was where he had spent this evening. Okay. So yeah, ska fights, the fighting pits.
Yeah, we're happy with you know what? It's cool. We're happy with him being dead. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No,
and of
no
course,
complaints.
and we knew that there were Mistwraith fighting pits, but of course there are also ska fighting pits.
Yeah. Because why
And
not? Ugh.
yeah, Entrone had, not coincidentally, been a major political ally of House Tekiel. Kelsier left the corpse sitting in its own blood. The gardeners would locate it first, and once the servants knew about the death, no amount of noble obstinacy would keep it quiet. The murder would cause an outcry, and immediate blame would probably be placed upon House Isenry, House Tekiel's rival. However, Entrone's suspiciously unexpected death might make House Tekiel wary. If they began poking around, they would find that Entrone's gambling opponent at the night's blood fight had been Cruz Geffenry, a man whose house had been petitioning the Tekiels for a stronger alliance. Cruz was a known Mistborn and a very competent knife fighter.
I like the amount of explanation we have here. I like because it's explaining why this is
The
intriguing.
threads.
I like because I could go and try and make up and figure out why this is what this would mean in the Game of Houses or the Game of Thrones, whatever. I could try and figure that out and make it up, but I like that being written for me. I want it doesn't feel like it's being spelled out. It's the intrigue. That's exactly it. It's like, ooh, what will it be? Oh, it could be this. It could be that. That's what explaining the motives of what he's doing here. I liked it.
Agreed. And it shows how much thought Kelsier has put into what he's doing, and he's considering all of the different ways that the act could be interpreted.
Yeah. And it just shows the nobility, how they think, how they maneuver, how they take things. All kinds of ways that they could make assumptions, and how you can take advantage of that by putting certain bait in front of them.
Exactly.
Also, one more thing. We know that Kelsier killed a Mistborn. So yeah, he's a good Mistborn apparently, unless Cruz isn't a formidable one. Point is, there was a Mistborn versus Mistborn fight, and he killed him.
Wait. I thought
Oh wait, Cruz
Cruz
is still alive. Yeah, sorry, never mind. Don't cut that out. But I was
You-
thinking like, yeah, we have a known Mistborn. Remember him.
Okay, yes. Remember Cruz Geffenry.
Mm-hmm.
And so the intrigue would begin. Had House Isenry done the murder? Or perhaps had the death been an attempt by House Geffenry to push Tekiel into a higher state of alarm, thereby encouraging them to seek allies among the lesser nobility? Or was there a third answer, a house that wanted to strengthen the rivalry between Tekiel and Isenry? At that paragraph, I was just thinking paranoia. And then I was thinking of Vin and paranoia. And there's just paranoia everywhere. Big theme.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's out to get you. But how and why? It's not whether they are. It's just wait. How are they going to do it?
Yeah. Kelsier hopped off the garden wall, scratching at the fake beard he wore. It didn't really matter whom House Tekiel decided to blame. Kelsier's real purpose was to make them question and worry, to make them mistrust and misunderstand. Chaos was his strongest ally in fostering a house war. When the war finally came, each nobleman killed would be one less person that the Ska would have to face in their rebellion. As soon as Kelsier got a short distance from Keep Tekiel, he flipped a coin and went to the rooftops. Occasionally he wondered what the people in the houses beneath him thought, hearing footsteps from above. Did they know that Mistborn found their homes a convenient highway? A place where they could move without being bothered by guards or thieves? Or did the people attribute the knockings to the ever-blamable Mistwraiths? They probably don't even notice. Sane people are asleep when the mists come out. He landed on a peaked roof, retrieved his pocket watch from a nook to check the time, then stowed it, and the dangerous metal from which it was made, away again. Many nobility blatantly wore metal, a foolish form of bravado. The habit had been inherited directly from their lord ruler. Kelsier, however, didn't like carrying any metal, watch, ring, or bracelet, on him that he didn't have to. He launched himself into the air again, making his way toward the Soot Warrens, a Ska slum on the far northern side of town. Luthadel was an enormous, sprawling city. Every few decades or so, new sections were added. The city wall expanded through the sweat and efforts of Ska labor. With the advent of the modern canal era, stone was growing relatively cheap and easy to move. I liked that. Not too much to say about it, but it speaks
Just world
to
building.
economy.
Yeah, it's economy. It's just a note that you want to keep that. Just it seems like throw a line, but it's really important to keep those in.
Yeah. I wonder why he bothers with the wall. Kelsier thought, moving along the rooftops parallel to the massive structure. Who would he attack? The Lord Ruler controls everything. Not even the Western Isles resist anymore. There hadn't been a true war in the Final Empire for centuries. The occasional rebellion consisted of nothing more than a few thousand men hiding in hills or caves, coming out for periodic raids. Even Yedin's rebellion wouldn't rely much on force. They were counting on the chaos of a house war mixed with a strategic misdirection of the Luthadel garrison to give them an opening. If it came down to an extended campaign, Kelsier would lose. The Lord Ruler and the Seal Ministry could marshal literally millions of troops if the need arose. Though there was his other...
Question. So remember in our previous chapter, we were talking about, well, we saw this bit of literature that was criticizing the Lord Ruler's empire for not being what it should be with an immortal leader, a single immortal leader. I did want to ask you, you know much more about history than I do. What do you think of there not being a true war in the Final Empire for centuries? That's quite an achievement, isn't that?
Yeah.
Centuries. That's hundreds of years. Hello.
Who was it? Douglas MacArthur that said peace is the made-up name that we give for the brief time between wars. I'm sure I messed that up. But yeah, humanity has spent more time at war than it has at peace.
I'm not saying yay, Lord Ruler, there's been peace. I'm just saying like that is one thing. Like, okay, so he's had this control is not something to scoff at. This control that he's had, where he's been unchallenged for centuries, basically. Unchallenged. Well, no significant challenge has come to him in centuries.
It's awesome, as in something to be in awe of, certainly.
Yeah, exactly.
But can you really call it peace with what he does to the Ska and to the
nope.
To the keepers, the terracemen?
Nope. It's peace for him.
And let me ask you though, if there were just one terrace keeper, just one individual person who considered himself to be at war with the Final Empire, would you consider the Final Empire to be at peace?
Interesting. The Empire considers itself at peace, but the opponent doesn't. So that for me, that idea that you've just placed down of whether one party thinks it's at peace, the other party is eternally at war with it, just because they're losing doesn't mean there's been peace. So yeah, I'm on the lines of there has been no peace since he's taken over, but it is still quite a thing that he's gone unchallenged, significantly unchallenged for so long. And when we do get to this crumbling, it will be interesting to think about what got him there, what eventually eroded him down to this point. Yeah.
Yes. Though there was his other plan, Kelsier didn't speak of it. He barely dared consider it. He probably wouldn't even have an opportunity to implement it. But if the opportunity did arrive, what's his other plan, Kitteh?
The 11th metal, killing him.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, yeah, he's... I don't blame him for not really wanting to think about that, because it's like, well, it's not really solved. Even if he knew how he was going to do it, because I don't think he knows what he's going to do with that 11th metal. Even if he knew it, it would still be something daunting to think about. So I can see, I can agree with him avoiding that thought altogether.
Yeah. It's interesting though that your mind went to the 11th metal, because I didn't. I thought this was a setup for some
other
surprise plan that he had that he would be able to accomplish. Because how can he rely on the 11th metal as a plan if he still doesn't know what it is or how it works?
Okay, so there's an to you that this is not the 11th metal, it's another, which makes sense to me. It's highly possible.
He dropped to the ground right outside the soot warrens, then pulled his mist cloak tight and walked along the street with a confident step. His contact sat in the doorway of a closed shop, puffing quietly on a pipe. Kelsier raised an eyebrow. Tobacco was an expensive luxury. Either Hoyd was very wasteful, or he was as successful as Doxson implied. New character!
Mm-hmm. You saw a lot more significance, it seems, in him than I did. And it seems like you were right, considering our little experience on our stream today. Yeah, I just thought of him as this extra that's just, okay, well, he's an informant.
Then again, if Doxson is complimenting this guy, it sounds like he could well be a power player, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I think, which is why I intuited that he'll be important. Hoyd calmly put away the pipe, then climbed to his feet, though that didn't make him much taller. The scrawny, bald man bowed deeply in the mist night. Greetings, my lord! Kelsier stopped in front of the man, arms tucked carefully inside his mist cloak. It wouldn't do for a street informant to realize that the unidentified nobleman he was meeting with had the scars of Hathson on his arms. You come highly recommended, Kelsier said, mimicking the haughty accent of a nobleman.
I was wondering whether you were going to do that or not. Okay.
Well, if you're going to do Southern Vin, I have to do Southern Kelsier. The funny thing here is neither Elend nor Tresting nor Lord Venture are Southern.
Yeah, but you're just, you know what, just for this one, we don't even know what lord he is, so let him do it, just for this one, I think it's fun.
Okay. I am one of the best, my lord. Anyone who can survive as long as you have must be good, Kelsier thought. Lords didn't like the idea of other men knowing their secrets. Informants generally didn't live very long. I need to know something, informant. But first you must vow never to speak of this meeting to anyone.
Yes, I love it. Carry on.
Of course, my lord. He'd likely break the promise before the night was out. Another reason informants didn't tend to live long. There is the matter of payment. You'll have your money, Scar. Of course, my lord, Hoyd said with a quick bob of the head. You requested information regarding House Renault, I believe. Yes. What is known about it? Which houses is it aligned with? I must know these things. There isn't really much to know, my lord. Lord Renault is new to the area, and he is a careful man. He's making neither allies nor enemies at the moment. He's buying a large number of weapons and armor, but is probably just purchasing from a wide variety of houses and merchants, thereby ingratiating himself to them all. A wise tactic. He will perhaps have an excess of merchandise, but he will also have an excess of friends, yes? I don't see why I should pay you for that. He'll have too much merchandise, my lord. You could make a clever profit, knowing that Renault is shipping at a loss. I'm no merchant, Scar. I don't care about profits and shipping. Let him chew on that. Now he thinks I'm of a great house, though if he hadn't suspected that because of the mist cloak, then he doesn't deserve his reputation. Of course, my lord. There is more, clearly. Ah, and here we see it. Does the street know that House Renault is connected to the rumblings of rebellion? If anyone had discovered that secret, then Kelsier's crew was in serious jeopardy. Hoyd coughed quietly, holding out his hand. Insufferable man! Kelsier snapped, tossing a pouch at Hoyd's feet. Yes, my lord, Hoyd said, falling to his knees and searching about with his hands. I apologize, my lord. My eyesight is weak, I can barely see my own fingers held in front of my face. Clever, Kelsier thought as Hoyd found the pouch and tucked it away. The comment about eyesight was undoubtedly a lie. No man would get far in the underground with such an impediment. However, a nobleman who thought his informant to be half-blind would be far less paranoid about being identified. Not that Kelsier was worried. He wore one of Doxson's best disguises. Besides the beard, he had a fake but realistic nose, along with platforms in the shoes and makeup to lighten the skin. Okay, that's a lot. Speak, Kitteh, please.
I was very fascinated by the disguise thing. We knew he was wearing disguises. Now we're getting a bit more insight into what that entails, like the fake beard, the nose, things like that. You won't be seeing him clearly, but this person would need to. They would have a profile of him at least. So there's enough subterfuge here for him to be disguised, and now he's even taller than he usually is. It's quite interesting. Yeah, I imagined quite a comical nose because that's just what I'm like.
Did you ever see Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping?
No.
Ooh,
I
I
watched
should put
Seinfeld. Seinfeld had a fake nose on it once, so that's what I
Yes.
was thinking about. Yeah.
Same with Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping. There's a scene
uh,
where Andy Samberg, I think it is,
uh-huh.
just wears this massive fake nose. It's quite funny.
But it looks realistic. But
In
yeah,
that, not particularly,
yeah.
but there are some really fantastic fake noses. And I do assume that, especially given the crew's confidence, that this
Mm,
is an effective disguise. I will be frankly shocked, I think, if Hoyd manages to figure out that this is Kelsier in some
yeah.
way.
I think this is
Even
good enough. Yeah.
even though Hoyd is apparently a man of great talents.
And I like the idea that just writing wise, we got him scratching at the fake beard initially a little couple pages before, and then we get the fake beard. We get him referring to the beard again and the nose. I like that. I just writing wise subtleties that I enjoy. I want to point them out whenever they happen.
Yes. You said there was more. I swear, Scott, if it isn't good. It is. Lord Renault is considering a union between his niece, the Lady Villette, and Lord Ellen Venture. Kelsier cocked an eyebrow. Wasn't expecting that. That's silly. Venture is far above Renault. The two youths were seen speaking at length at the Venture Ball a month ago. Kelsier laughed derisively. Everyone knows about that. It meant nothing. Did it? Does everyone know that Lord Ellen Venture spoke quite highly of the Goyle to his friends, the group of nobling philosophers at the lounge at the Broken Quill? Young men speak of girls. It means nothing. You will be returning those coins. Wait, Hoyt said, sounding apprehensive for the first time. There is more. Lord Renault and Lord Venture have had secret dealings. What? It is true. This is fresh news. I heard it barely an hour ago. There is a connection between Renault and Venture, and for some reason Lord Renault was able to demand that Ellen Venture be assigned to watch over Lady Villette at balls. It is even whispered that Lord Renault has some kind of leverage over House Venture. What happened at that ball tonight? Kelsier thought. Out loud, however, he said, This all sounds very weak, Scar. You have nothing more than idle speculations. Not about House Renault, my lord. I tried, but your worry over this house is meaningless. You should pick a house more central to politics, like, say, House Alariel. Kelsier frowned. By mentioning Alariel, Hoyd was implying that he had some important tidbit that would be worth Kelsier's payment. It seemed that House Renault's secrets were safe. It was time to move the discussion along to other houses so that Hoyd wouldn't get suspicious of Kelsier's interest in Renault. Very well. But if this isn't worth my time... It is, my lord. Lady Shanna Lariel is a soother. Proof? I felt it touch on my emotions, my lord, during a fire at Keep Lariel a week ago. She was there, calming the emotions of the Soivants. I have to bring this up. We haven't spoken too much this chapter and mostly read through it, but
Yeah.
This we had discussed ages ago now about soothing used to calm people in a panic as a moral way of using the soothing ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you don't like Lady Shan, but if she's using this power in this way, we now have a mixture. She's using it immorally from the ball, but she's using it morally here. Do you think she used it in this fire out of the goodness of her heart, or because it was the expedient thing to do to help stop the fire?
I don't know which one is more powerful, the motivation, yet, because I don't know her more any better, but I know that there must be some sort of goodness, that she might have some softness in her, because I do see what you see in her, in that, she was somewhat wronged. So I do have sympathies for her. It's just, I know that if I was interacting with her the way that she was interacting with Vin, I'd have the exact same sort of, I would just, oh God, I would hate it. So, but Lady Shan, I see that in the same way we would, expect most noble women to. They won't be all good or all bad. I can definitely. I wouldn't put it past her that she had some. Oh no, let me make them feel better. Let me use my power for good. I don't have this thing that she's all evil. It's just that I think she's a bitch, and she can be a bitch and good at the same time.
House Alariel has recently given her leave to use her powers more at court functions. They fear a house war and wish to make whatever allegiances possible. She always carries a thin envelope of shaved brass in her right glove. Get a seeker close to her at a bowl, and you shall see. My lord, I do not lie. My life as an informant depends solely upon my reputation. Shan Alariel is a soother. Kelsier paused, as if musing. The information was useless to him, but his true purpose, finding out about House Renault, had already been fulfilled. Hoyt had earned his coins, whether he realized it or not. Kelsier smiled. Now to sow a little more chaos. What of Shan's covert relationship with Salmon Tekiel? Kelsier said, picking the name of a likely young nobleman. Do you think that she used her powers to gain his favor? Oh, most certainly, my lord, Hoyt said quickly. Kelsier could see the glimmer of excitement in his eyes. He assumed that Kelsier had given him a luscious bit of political gossip free of charge.
Too easy.
Perhaps she was the one who secured Alariel the dealing with House Hastings last week, Kelsier said musingly. There had been no such deal. Most likely, my lord. Very well, Scar. You have earned your coins. Perhaps I shall call upon you another time. Thank you, my lord, Hoyt said, bowing deeply. Kelsier dropped a coin and launched himself into the air. As he landed on a rooftop, he caught a glimpse of Hoyt scuttling over to pluck the coin off the ground. Hoyt didn't have any trouble locating it despite his weak eyesight. Kelsier smiled, then kept moving. Hoyt hadn't mentioned Kelsier's tardiness, but Kelsier's next appointment would not be so forgiving. Okay, let's take a break there. Yeah. What do you think of Hoyt?
He seems typical informant. He doesn't seem to me. He's seedy. He's underground. So I just took him for not likely to recur, but it would be interesting if he did. But also a great demonstration of how you go about sowing division between the houses. You feed information that's beneficial. You cover information that you don't want really being focused on, all that kind of stuff, that good stuff. I enjoy the intrigue that has occurred. So I don't really have much to say about the character himself, because I do feel like he doesn't like noblemen, of course. He makes use of them. He makes use of their game to profit on his own. And I mean, I love the little thing of him actually picking up the coin as well. Like, he's not doing badly. He's not struggling. He's got tobacco and stuff, but you know what? He's going to pick up that coin. That does give you that kind of thing of like, oh yeah, this guy's seedy. He's going to take whatever he can get. It's not to be trusted. But then again, you do need to, there is some risk. You do need to trust some of what he says and decipher it. Yeah.
There is something very ratty about him,
especially just scrambling to the ground to get a coin. Very ratty.
Yeah, there's something extremely untrustworthy about him, and I know Kelsier is coming at it from that perspective. He's not trusting this person, and he's using this person, but there's also something really conniving about Hoyt that makes me think he's smarter than Kelsier is willing to grant him.
Yes, I feel like there is that line that as much as Kelsier isn't taking everything he says for granted, there is a bit of this kind of underestimation.
There's also something chaotic about him, I think. I think he's going to not be good for the crew at some point.
You can't figure out. You don't know where his motives lie, so you can't figure out what his lies would be and what his truths would be. It's dirty business. It's very difficult. That's why I would be so bad at this kind of manipulation, because I just don't know what to believe and what to make people believe. But it's very entertaining to witness.
Yeah. He made his way eastward toward Alstrom Square. He pulled off his mist cloak as he moved, then ripped off his vest, revealing the tattered shirt hidden beneath. He dropped to an alleyway, discarding cloak and vest, then grabbed a double handful of ash from the corner. He rubbed the crusty dark flakes on his arms, masking his scars, then ground them onto his face and false beard. The man who stumbled out of the alleyway seconds later was very different from the nobleman who had met with Hoyd. The beard, once neat, now jutted out in an unkempt frazzle. A few selected bits had been removed, making it look patchy and sickly. Kelsier stumbled, pretending to have a lame leg, and called out to a shadowed figure standing near the square's quiet fountain. My lord! My lord, is that you? Lord Straff Venture, leader of House Venture, was a domineering man, even for a nobleman. Kelsier could make out a pair of guards standing at his side. The lord didn't seem the least bit bothered by the mists. It was openly known that he was a tin-eye. Venture stepped forward firmly, dueling cane tapping the ground beside him. Okay, so he's a tin-eye. That's neat.
I would and I got this confidence in, even though he doesn't, a tin-eye is a perception sort of heightened senses kind of thing. He's not a Mistborn. He doesn't have this huge power backing him up himself, but he has the self-assuredness of seeing things coming.
Yes.
That's what I got from this.
You are late, Scar. My lord, I was waiting in the alley, my lord, like we agreed. We agreed to no such thing. I'm sorry, my lord, Kelsier said again, bowing, then stumbling because of his lame leg. I'm sorry. I was just in the alley. I didn't mean to make you wait. Couldn't you see us, man? I'm sorry, my lord. My eyesight, it isn't very good. You know, I can barely see my own hands in front of my face. Thanks for the tip, Hoyd. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I liked his the way he's flexible with his thinking. He's quick thinking. It works.
And Kelsier took the coin trick from Vin, and now he's taking the eye trick from Hoyd. He's very adaptable.
Resourceful. Adaptable, yes. Not too full of himself to not take what he sees others do. He learns from others. Good.
Yes. Venture snorted, handing his dueling cane to a guard, then slapped Kelsier smartly across the face. Kelsier stumbled to the ground, holding his cheek. I'm sorry, my lord. Next time you make me wait, it will be the cane, Venture said curtly. Well, I know where to go next time I need a corpse to dump on someone's lawn, Kelsier thought, stumbling to his feet. Now, let us get down to business. What is this important news you promised to deliver? It's about House Arakel, my lord. I know your lordship has had dealings with them in the past. And? Well, my lord, they are cheating you dearly. They have been selling their swords and canes to House Techiel for half the price you've been paying. Proof? You need only look to Techiel's new armaments, my lord. My word is true. I have nothing but my reputation. If I have not that, I have not my life.
What I loved here, sorry, just a note here. I loved the repetitive sort of callback that we got, where the Lord goes, proof. I just enjoyed that. I just liked the symmetry of it. That he said proof the way Kelsier said proof. I can't come and now tell you exactly the reason. I just liked it. Okay, I really enjoyed that, and yeah,
it speaks to Kelsier's acting abilities.
Yes, because this is what a real lord would say. Proof. Like, I'm not going to spend time saying a whole ass sentence. Here's a word, and you're going to tell me what I want to know after the word. You know, like that.
Yes,
I enjoy that. And then obviously he also calls back to, all I have is my reputation. So the flip of him playing the two different characters. Oh, it's great.
It is fantastic. And I also like the poetry of, if I have not that, I have not my life.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't lying, or at least not completely. It would be useless of Kelsier to spread information that Venture could corroborate or dismiss with ease. Some of what he said was true. Techiel was giving a slight advantage to Arakel. Kelsier was overstating it, of course. If he played the game well, he could start a rift between Arakel and Venture, while at the same time making Venture jealous of Techiel. And if Venture came to Renault for weapons instead of Arakel, well, that would be a side benefit.
Love the explanation there.
Yes, and it's more of elaborating, showing the threads, showing the contingencies. If this, then this, then this. But it could also work in this way because of this and this. He's thinking deep.
Damn it, I have to get diagramming this because that's one of the things I really liked about like the game of houses, like all of that if this then that. I love that sort of stuff. Oh my gosh. Okay.
If you want to do a Mistborn diagram stream on your channel on a Tuesday or Wednesday like you used to,
yes,
I would be happy to join and we could do something like that.
Yes, thank you. Okay, well, I was going to talk to you about that, but yeah, okay, that's great.
Excellent.
And
then we could do, we could do the epigraphs, or we could do the all of these thinking things. It's your channel, you run it, of course.
I was thinking, like, do I go over our episodes, because my streams are very long, everybody. So we could go and was I going to go and, because now that you would be around, that would really help. Because I was like, shall I go and listen to our episodes and diagram them as I go?
It'll be so cringe to listen to myself.
So I don't know. We'll figure out the format, but we cannot get much further in this book without it becoming absolutely impossible for me to diagram every chapter. But at least we have our podcast. We have the No One Asked You podcast, Mistborn Abridged series that I can go and just listen to as I diagram. But yeah, we'll figure out the format. This is why also I want diagrams when it comes to this sort of stuff. And it's one thing that I really wanted in Wheel of Time as well, because I was like, what? How the hell? And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Like and subscribe to ThatDarnKitteh.
Yes, like and subscribe to ThatDarnKitteh. Seriously, her channel is wonderful and Kitteh is fantastic.
Amazing. That was a joke. Okay.
Straff Venture snorted. His house was powerful, incredibly powerful, and relied on no specific industry or enterprise to fuel its wealth. That was a very difficult position to achieve in the Final Empire, considering the Lord Ruler's taxes and atium costs. It also made Venture a powerful tool to Kelsier. If he could give this man the right mixture of truth and fiction. This is of little use to me. Let's see how much you really know, informant. Tell me about the survivor of Hathsin. This made me like Straff Venture quite a lot.
Oh, he hasn't gotten to his position by chance. He's a formidable foe. You got to watch out for this guy. He's not.
This guy is big brain, highest of high IQs. Especially with the conclusions, and that speaks to some of the subtle work that I had mentioned briefly earlier.
Okay, yeah. Very subtle, yeah.
Kelsier froze. Excuse me, my lord? You want to get paid? Well, tell me about the survivor. Rumors say that he's returned to Luthadel. Rumors only, my lord. I have never met the survivor, but I doubt he is in Luthadel, even if he lives. I've heard that he's gathering a Scar rebellion. There are always fools whispering rebellion to the Scar, my lord. And there are always those who try to use the name of the survivor. But I do not believe that any man could have lived through the pits. I could seek more information on this, if you wish, but I worry you will be disappointed in what I find. The survivor is dead. The Lord Ruler, he does not allow such oversights. True. But the Scar seem convinced about this rumor of an 11th metal. Have you heard of it, informant? Ah, yes, Kelsier said, covering his shock. A legend, my lord. One I've never heard of, and I pay very close attention to such things. This is no legend. Someone particularly clever is manipulating the Scar. And this made me like Straff Venture a hell of a lot.
Yeah. He's not a plank of wood. He's a smart boy. I'm sure there are stupid noblemen, don't worry. But Straff, not one of them.
So his takeaway is that because he's never heard a legend of an 11th metal, it's real?
No,
because
yeah.
No, continue.
Yeah, because he's heard, because it's new. It's particularly new. There's nothing that this could have come from. Something like that. Or maybe him saying it's new is a tactic to see what his informant says. I wouldn't put it past him to be playing that many dimensions. I also won't take anything he says to be exactly what it means.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
What
what
are
I
you saying?
so if I've understood what he's saying correctly, he has just heard the information that this 11th metal is a legend. And Venture says, one I've never heard of, to which he means he's never heard a legend about the 11th metal. Am I correct so far?
Yeah.
And
Yes,
then he says, and I pay very close attention to such things, which suggests that he is frequently paying attention to information regarding more more metals, more powers, legends, and so on. So basically, this legend has appeared out of nowhere, and because he has never heard of this legend before, he has come to the conclusion that this is no legend, that someone has just made this up. Am I right
Oh.
so far? But because someone, and then I don't know if this is where I'm jumping in my logic or not, but because there was no legend about an 11th metal, but suddenly there is information about it that could potentially stop the Lord Ruler, his conclusion is therefore that it is real, that there is an 11th metal. It is not a legend.
Yeah, that's what I took. I took that his conclusion is that it's real, which is
Okay.
not exactly what Calcia wants. Calcia wants a kind of doubt, but also kind of hope. Like there isn't supposed to be full belief in this, and I think he doesn't. I think that we do get Calcia's reaction. Like we don't want him believing. We don't want him interested in the 11th metal. We want the Scar to think that that gives him a chance. We don't want the nobleman getting hold of that because that makes them more of a threat. They need to be busy with themselves. So this does give Calcia quite a bit of a problem. And that's what I really likes about this whole interaction is that, yes, Calcia, you made your 11th metal rumors and things, but yeah, look what happens. What happens when the rumor goes beyond your control, which is what happens. That's definitely going to happen. So how do you control that? That's so cool. I got the shock when he spoke about it because it's like, well,
So
he knew. Calcia knew
Ven-
that. Yeah.
Venture is smart enough to figure out what's going on.
Mm. Yeah,
And
and
it messes with Kelsier.
yeah, and like it's not like, oh, Calcia, you should have known. It's just like it is interesting to see Calcia get pushed back a bit. Like Calcia's smart, but he's been busy. He hasn't had
Venture
time. Yeah,
Venture is a match for Kelsier, and that in a way
exactly.
makes him very, very intimidating.
Yes, he's smart. He's not. This is not a dumb guy. You got to think a bit. You can't just apply the rules. Yeah, and Calcia has a bit of cockiness, so it makes sense that this kind of underestimation would occur with him. Same thing that we saw. He seemed to underestimate Hoyt. I think the effect is a bit heightened here because of just how formidable Venture seems. And also, what's quite interesting is there's a bit of a compliment for Calcia where somebody very smart is manipulating the Scar. And it's like, actually, yes, I am very smart and I am Calcia and I am manipulating the Scar. But it's like, oh, I didn't really want you to think about that because that means you're smart too. The fact that you've noticed me, oh, I love the intrigue. Oh, the fact that you've noticed me manipulating makes you smart. Oh, it's great.
So many exciting layers here.
Yeah.
An interesting conclusion, my lord. Indeed. And assuming the survivor did die in the pits, and if someone had gotten hold of his corpse, his bones, there are ways to imitate a man's appearance. You know of what I speak.
I
And
want to know what he speaks.
I want to know of what he speaks. Renault, obviously.
Yes.
There's a my mind did go briefly to the mist wraiths and how they can take
Yes.
bones and reshape themselves, but it sounds like you need bones specifically to do whatever Renault did. This suggests that Renault, the real Renault, died.
And we got his bones and we did something with them. And there is, it's something that I don't think is exactly a mist wraith. It's not like, because remember my theory was that, so the more mature mist wraith actually can think more like a human. I don't think so. I
Right.
think it's some other kind of supernatural thing
Right.
that is just related, I suppose, to mist wraiths. Maybe mist wraiths are like a corruption of that thing, or I don't know. They don't have to be related. They're just related in the fact that you can use certain bones to absorb and whatever. So I love that
So
drop.
you
Ah,
say supernatural things. So do you think this is magic, or do
oh
you
yeah,
think it's like okay. So this magic seems different than
burning.
prophecy magic. It
Mm-hmm.
seems different than metal
Mm-hmm.
burning magic, and it seems different than whatever Sazed can do,
Mm-hmm.
the metal mines can do. So
There is a word that is coming later in this chapter, and
yes.
I'll speak to you about it and ask you about it. But what I also mean by the magic, this being magical, it's like mist wraiths are magical, just in the way that they are, as in their biology, their entire being, the way that they operate. It's not like they burn anything. Maybe there is a certain, like metabolism and thing like that. But I'm saying it's not a finite power that seems to be thing. So I don't feel like Renault would need fuel to continue this transformation. I think it's a one-time thing. It
Right.
just feels that way.
I agree.
Because otherwise this ruse would eventually run out. It feels like. So I don't think it's got it's. I think all of the magic in the world will be related, because I think that's just how magic systems eventually that's just a good way for magic to be. Even if the relation is mysterious, I'm happy with the mysterious relationship. You don't have to give me the full scientific explanation. That's my perception of the magical whatever this is. And I love the way that this was dropped on top of us. Like, hey, we know that you were wondering about Renault. You've been wondering about Renault for half the book. Here you go, honey, sweetie, baby child. Here is a bunch of bones. And it was very good. It was skillful.
So good. There are ways to imitate a man's appearance. You know of what I speak. Yes, my lord. Watch for this. I don't care about your gossip. Bring me something about this man, or whatever he is that leads the Ska, and then you'll get some coin of me. Venture spun in the darkness, waving to his men and leaving a thoughtful Kelsier behind.
A thoughtful kitty and a thoughtful Dorcas.
And a thoughtful Kitteh and a thoughtful Dorcas. Kelsier arrived at Mansion Renault. Is your Mansion Renault here in this first sentence lower capped?
No.
Lowercase?
Mm-mm.
Interesting. Mine is, so that's a typo in my edition. Kelsier arrived at Mansion Renault a short time later. The spikeway between Felice and Luthadel made for quick travel between the cities. Okay, so we know that it's called the spikeway now, but
Yeah,
I have to say,
yeah.
I so much prefer the term you came up with, Kitteh, the Alamantic Road.
Oh, I wish I could take credit for that, but I think because Vin called it an Animantic Highway, I just called it an Animantic Road. So it's Vin's. It's not mine. I wish
Okay.
I would take that credit, but oh, look at me, I'm so honorable. No, yeah, I think she called it she did call it a highway at some point, and she might have referred to it again as an Alamantic Road. But I agree. I do prefer the Alamantic, because I just like the word Alamantic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what it is.
yeah, and spike as well is a spiky word. Okay, relax. Alamancy is smooth, and considering the way that you move on this highway, it's a lot smoother. And I don't want spikes. Okay, but it was great to see the difference, because we did have this discussion when I did read this. I was like, okay, we get what it's called, and also we now as we go on, you'll see we also figure out. Dorcas was right that, and Vin, I suppose, that we don't know who actually put this here.
He hadn't placed the spikes. He didn't know who had. He often wondered what he would do if, while traveling the spikeway, he met another Mistborn traveling in the opposite direction. Which is something you had thought of, Kitteh, at least with Vin.
Mm-hmm.
We'd probably ignore each other, Kelsier thought as he landed in Mansion Renault's courtyard. We're pretty good at doing that. He peered through the mists at the lantern-lit mansion, his recovered mist cloak flapping slightly in the calm wind. The empty carriage indicated that Finn and Sazed had returned from House Ilario. Kelsier found them inside, waiting in the sitting room and speaking quietly with Lord Renault.
Oh, that's me. That's a new look for you.
Vin noted as Kelsier walked into the room. She still wore her dress, a beautiful red gown, though she sat in an unladylike position, legs tucked beneath her. A few weeks ago, she would have changed out of that gown as soon as she got back. We'll turn her into a lady yet. He found a seat picking at the fake soot-stained beard. You mean this? I hear beards are going to make a return soon. I'm just trying to stay on the edge of fashionability.
The edge of bigger fashion, maybe.
How did the evening go, Kelsier? Lord Renault asked. Kelsier shrugged. Like most others. Fortunately, it appears that House Renault remains free of suspicion, though I myself am something of a concern to some of the nobility. You? Kelsier nodded as the servant brought him a warm, damp cloth to clean his face and arms, though Kelsier wasn't certain if the servants were worried about his comfort or the ash he might get on the furniture. He wiped off his arms, exposing the pale white scratched scars, then began to pick off the beard. It seems that the General Ska have gotten wind of the 11th metal. Some of the nobility have heard the building rumors, and the more intelligent ones are growing worried. How does this affect us? Well, we'll spread opposite rumors to make the nobility focus more on each other and less on me. Though amusingly, Lord Venture encouraged me to search out information about myself. A man could get very confused from this kind of play acting. I don't know how you do it, Renault. It is who I am, the Khandra said simply.
So that's the word.
Lowercase k.
Mm-hmm. What is that?
Clearly some sort of creature, right? Like, or being, right? Like, I didn't get,
Or
like, Terrace Min from Khandra.
a conjurman, yeah. But it could be someone who, I mean, we have keepers. So I don't know what it would mean, but they don't have to be a creature. Maybe they are humans with an ability. Like you would say, the Tenai said. That's a human with an ability.
Yeah, but Tinai is usually capitalized, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you capitalize the word elf or orc?
No. Yeah, that's true. It's not an ability, it's a being. Interesting. Well, I want to learn more, but he just sprinkled that word. He's like, here's some bones, and here's the word Khandra.
Yep.
Like, screw you, Sanderson. That's great.
Kelsier shrugged again, turning to Vin and Sazed. So how did your evening go?
Frustratingly.
Mistress Vin is a tad annoyed. On the way back from Lucidel, she told me the secrets she had gathered while dancing. Not much of interest?
Sazed already knew it all. I spent hours twirling and twittering for those men, and it was all worthless.
Hardly worthless, Vin. You made some contacts, you were seen, and you practiced your twittering. As for information, well, nobody's going to tell you anything important yet. Give it some time.
How much time?
Now that you're feeling better, we can have you start attending the balls regularly. After a few months, you should have gathered enough contacts to begin finding the kind of information we need. Let's take a brief pause here to do a callback to last chapisode. We had an opportunity to discuss something given Lady Shan and her posse, her hens,
Harem,
her
yeah.
harem of other lady noblemen. Every time that Vin asks Sazed and Kelsier about what to do at these balls, it's always sit alone, dance with men, wait for men to invite you to dance, and then invite you to sit with them, and then go to their after parties. There's never any mention of join the womenfolk and see what gossip they share. So it seems like a unique angle, especially since there are no other women in the crew at the moment. It seems like a unique resource for knowledge, especially since women tend to what's the phrase? The king rules, but the queen,
I don't know.
but he listens to the queen.
Behind every great man is a great woman, kind of thing.
That behind every great man is a great woman. So the women, I suspect, know more than perhaps the crew expects.
I see that. So you would say it as a shortcoming that they don't have that kind of expertise, that kind of guidance to play that angle of Vin's position. Yeah, what would make Vin's position difficult? And we would need a woman. They are playing with they're working with what they have, I would say. But it also seems the role of the woman is that they are supposed to, you don't, you if you're not, if maybe Vin would have more autonomy if she was of a higher house. She could go and she could mingle because she would be more desirable to other women, as in as a friend, as an ally. She would be someone to want on your side. But you don't seem to approach people of higher standing than you. They need to approach, you need to be summoned, which seems to be some sort of dynamic, is that she couldn't just go up to Shan of her own accord. So it might be that thing that men can come up to women. It's a dynamic that men can come up to women and ask to dance, and then that kind of brings the woman together, and then you can become allies that way. So
Sure.
Vin would do well to use that and to not forget about the woman for sure. But it is a lot more difficult, I would say, because there's rivalry within the relationships between women. So
Ladies are vicious.
yeah, it's very difficult. Whereas at least with the men, their role is, are they supposed to be suitors or not? That's it. Whereas with women, it's like they're friends and rivals at the same time. It's really complicated. I actually like the shortcoming of this, that Vin is at a disadvantage because she doesn't have a noble woman guiding her. She only has, and I don't think this is misogyny and all of this cuck. Just no, it's just the way it is. There's somebody who just doesn't know exactly how that game is played. They can't really move in
Right.
that arena.
And this book is moving at an incredibly fast pace.
Mhm.
So we don't have time for a Marjorie Tyrell, Sansa Stark arc
Yes, exactly. We don't.
for Vin.
Yeah, and maybe it'll happen. Maybe something does happen with her and Shan and whatever. She still has a lot to learn about being a woman. She hasn't been a woman for most of her life. Okay, she hasn't interacted with other women, so it will be a great journey for her to go through to learn the ways of women and the ways of cattiness and the ways of female friendship. It's very complex.
Yeah. Oh, another callback to a previous chapisode. I had assumed in a previous episode that Epigraph Man was traveling to the deepness in the north from that line, that they're reaching their destination. Technically speaking, so I had taken that to assume they were going to the deepness, but technically it does not say that they were going there to the deepness.
Yeah.
So just know that I am aware, in case I am wrong in thinking that, if for some reason the deepness is in Luthadel or elsewhere, I think it's in the north, but I'm open to yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
It's
noteworthy.
it's up in the air. We don't know. So you're not sold, or like you're not saying this is the way it is. You just know that there's all different kinds of possibilities.
Yeah. Vin nodded, sighing. She didn't seem quite as opposed to the idea of regularly attending balls as she once had, however. Sazed cleared his throat. Mr. Kelsier, I feel that I must mention something. Our table was attended by Lord Elendwencher for most of the evening, though Mr. Sveen did not find a way to make his attentions less threatening to the court. Yes, so I understand. What did you tell those people, Vin? That Renault and Venture are friends? Vin paled slightly.
How do you know?
I'm mysteriously powerful. I loved that.
Yeah, I loved it.
And I just imagined what this chapter would have been like from Vin's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
She must be worried. Yeah.
Yeah, like, wow, because that is hot off the presses. The
That
ink
literally
is
is.
still
He
wet.
and he's like, you know what? I'm not even going to bother telling you about it. Whatever. And he's so playful. He's like, we don't have time to talk about it. And yes, you know what? I'm just going to yes, I'm mysterious and powerful. That's it. Take that, Vin. Like I love that.
I'm mysteriously powerful. Anyway, everyone thinks that House Renault and House Venture have had some secret business dealings. They probably assume that Venture has been stockpiling weapons. Vin frowned.
I didn't mean it to go that far.
That's the way court is, Vin. Things can get out of hand quickly. However, this isn't much of a problem, though it does mean that you're going to have to be very careful when dealing with House Venture, Lord Renault. will want to see what kind of reaction they have to Vin's comments. Agreed. Now, if there isn't anything else, playing both nobleman and beggar in one evening has made me dreadfully tired. There is one other thing, Master Kelsier. At the end of the evening, Mistress Vin saw Lord Ellen Wencher leaving the ball with young lords of houses Lecal and Hasting. That's an odd combination. So I thought. He's probably just trying to annoy his father. Fraternizing with the enemy in public. Perhaps, but the three did seem to be good friends. Kelsier nodded, standing. Investigate this further, Saz. There's a chance that Lord Venture and his son are playing us all for fools. Yes, Mr. Kelsier. I doubt that they're both working together playing people for fools.
Yeah, I don't think it's something. I don't know if it's exactly just Ellen trying to irritate his dad, and I don't think it's him acting on his dad's instructions.
Look, it is it. We also have to keep in mind we have only ever seen Ellen from Vin's POV. Yeah.
And I mean, look, what I'm trying to say is, I think he has his like they're revolutionary kind of guys. It seems like he's part of this group of little rebels. That's what it seems like to me. So as much as, yes, we could say he's doing that just to irritate his father, it could also just be because those kinds of lords are in the same boat as him. They're like trying to be revolutionaries. That's what I get the feeling from this. There's more to it than just, oh, my dad would not like it if I spoke to these guys. So there's more than that, and I agree. I don't know, I think both of us got the same sense that I don't think he's working on his dad's instructions, so he's not helping. Maybe his dad is allowing him to do this to play people for fools because he knows it'll increase intrigue. But I don't think he's doing this on his dad's instruction.
Agreed. Yes, Mr. Kelsier. Kelsier left the room stretching and handing his mist cloak to a servant. As he walked up the eastern stairway, he heard quick footsteps. He turned to find Vin scooting up behind him, shimmering red dress held up as she climbed the steps.
Kelsier, there was something else. Something I'd like to talk about.
Kelsier raised an eyebrow. Something she doesn't want even Sazed to hear? My room, he said as she followed him up the stairs and into the chamber. What is this about?
Lord Elland,
Vin said, looking down, seeming a bit embarrassed.
Sazed already doesn't like him, so I don't want to mention this in front of the others, but I found something strange tonight.
What?
Elland had a stack of books with him.
First name. Kelsier thought with disapproval. She is falling for the boy.
He's known to read a lot, but some of these books, well, when he was gone, I picked through them.
Good girl. The streets gave you at least a few good instincts.
Listen here, I think he gave her a lot of good instincts, at least.
Yeah.
Get out, okay? Yeah. One of them drew my attention. The title said something about the weather, but the words inside spoke about the final empire and its flaws.
Oh? What exactly did it say?
Something about how, since the Lord Ruler is immortal, his empire should be more advanced and peaceful.
Book of the False Dawn. Any keeper can quote the entire thing to you. I didn't think there were any physical copies left. Its author, Deleuze Couvre, went on to write some books that were even more damning. Though he didn't blaspheme against allomancy, the obligators made an exception in his case and strung him up on a hook anyway.
Well, Erland has a copy. I think one of the other noblewomen was trying to find the book. I saw one of her servants rifling through them.
Which noblewoman?
Shan Elariel.
Also noteworthy, for all of Kelsier's many schemes that he's implementing, if any keeper, like Sazed, could recite the book by heart, why not scribe a bunch, like we talked about with the journal? Scribe a bunch of these and just start dropping them places
Plant
to
them,
be found.
Yeah.
Yeah, plant them.
But or plant something that is heretical, because he does go on at some point to try and say that it's not that bad. But anyway, that whole mechanism of planting something that's heretical totally could be a thing.
Yes.
Why not? And yeah, we are seeing that Kelsier is picking up on her giving a damn about Elland.
Yes.
It's going to come to fruition in the next paragraph or so.
And it's a conversation that really needs to happen.
Great
And
timing.
I have thoughts and opinions about these.
Let us go.
Former fiance. She's probably searching for something to blackmail the venture boy with.
I think she's an Elemencer, Calcia.
She's a soother. She probably had the right idea with those books. If the venture heir is reading a book like False Dawn, not to mention foolish enough to carry it around with him.
Is it that dangerous?
Moderately. It's an old book, and it didn't actually encourage rebellion, so it might slide.
The book sounded pretty critical of the Lord Ruler. He allows the nobility to read things like that?
He doesn't really allow them to do such things. More, he sometimes ignores it when they do. Banning books is tricky business. I really liked this section.
Yes.
Really, really well. It speaks to the Lord Ruler's intelligence. Banning books is tricky business, Finn. The more stink the ministry makes about a text, the more attention it will draw, and the more people will be tempted to read it. False Dawn is a stuffy volume, and by not forbidding it, the ministry doomed it to obscurity. Streisand effect.
Yeah, here we go. I loved it. I love that in the context that we live in, with the whole, oh, well, we must ban this, we must do this. It's actually like, it's an interesting phenomenon.
Yes. Vin nodded slowly. Besides, the Lord Ruler is far more lenient with the nobility than he is with the Ska. He sees them as the children of his long-dead friends and allies, the men who supposedly helped him defeat the Deepness. He occasionally lets them get away with things like reading edgy texts or assassinating family members.
This is quite an interesting thing for us to just keep note of as we go forward, learning more about the Lord Ruler. What would that be like? Would you really? I mean, we keep being told that that's how the Lord Ruler sees the nobility. That's it. We've been literally just told that. I want to know. I want to be inside the Lord Ruler's head and see what that could feel like. What happens when you're immortal and you've seen all your friends die and you get to see their entire bloodline sprawl out in front of you? Interestingly enough, he doesn't seem to have his own bloodline, but
That
yeah,
is interesting.
it's I think that it's suspiciously absent. I wonder if that's because he can't or because he won't. Yeah, so it's quite. We can have another discussion about that. I'm sure it'll come up as we learn more about the Lord Ruler. But but yeah, it would be very interesting to have that dynamic where you have lived through generations. That say you really had your dearest friend, and now you've lived through so many generations of that friend's blood going forward. Can you really maintain affection for that bloodline so many times removed?
It's a very lonely state of being. It's the whole immortality is a curse philosophy and line of thought. But like, imagine having pets. Like, if you're immortal long enough and you think of yourself as a god rather than, say, a human, it's like, imagine having and breeding pets.
That it could turn into that. I think you would have these friends that were real friends to you, and it's just pets. It's like, oh that's a good dynamic to look at there. I can't wait to meet this guy. So the book is nothing to worry about.
I wouldn't say that either. If young Elend has False Dawn, he might also have other books that are explicitly forbidden. If obligators had proof of that, they'd hand young Elend over to the Inquisitors, noblemen or not. The question is, how do we make certain that happens? And then at that sentence, and then there's more to the sentence, so I'm going to say it, but that one, that was very purposeful.
Did it crack you like a whip?
That felt a bit dirty from Kelsier, and a bit exploratory from Kelsier. He's testing Vin now.
Yeah, he has to do this. It sucks, but he has to do that. He's acting as if this is a highly necessary. This would have been his first thought, but it's not. That it's just he is just testing. Not just, but he's mostly testing her. It's a possibility. He wants to see whether he can bring this possibility because he should be able to. That's what they're doing here, and he knows there's going to be a problem. He knows he's doing it on purpose.
The question is, how do we make certain that happens? If the venture heir were to be executed, it would certainly add to Luthadell's political turmoil. Vin paled visibly. Yes, Kelsier thought with an internal sigh. She's definitely falling for him. I should have foreseen this. Sending a young pretty girl into noble society, one vulture or another was bound to latch onto her.
I didn't tell you this so we could get him killed, Kelsia. I thought maybe, well, he's reading forbidden books and he seems like a good man. Maybe we can use him as an ally or something.
Did I not say she would try to get him in on the crew?
Yeah. We were also taken. We were like, oh, could we maybe get him in? Because we don't want to kill him either. We don't want Vin to go through the turmoil of having killed him. She's confronting this. Oh wait, noble men are people too sometimes, and I don't know what to do. So yeah. And then the what Calcia thinks works.
Yep.
It was exactly my feeling.
So then Calcier thinks, "Oh, child, I hope he doesn't hurt you too much when he discards you. You should know better than this."
That's mean. That's sad, but it's also true.
And
That's usually what you would expect. He's expecting this from Elend.
And it echoes what Sazed had said to her in the previous chapter. I do not wish to break your heart, child, but he's not interested in you. Okay.
He's not that into you.
Don't count on it. Lord Elend might be reading a forbidden book, but that doesn't make him our friend. There have always been noblemen like him, young philosophers and dreamers who think that their ideas are new. They like to drink with their friends and grumble about the Lord Ruler, but in their hearts, they're still noblemen. They'll never overthrow the establishment.
But
no, Vin, you have to trust me. Elend Venture doesn't care about us or the Ska. He's a gentleman anarchist because it's fashionable and exciting. And then I just thought of political YouTubers.
Yeah, well, a lot of leftists, actually. Just anything that kind of... Yeah, political YouTubers, leftists, grifters as well. Just any grifter.
Yep.
Left, right. Yep. He talked to me about the Ska. He wanted to know if they were intelligent and if they acted like real people.
And was his interest compassionate or intellectual? And then I was like, oh, it totally was intellectual, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She hesitated, uncertain of the answer to that. See, Vin, that man is not our ally. In fact, I distinctly recall telling you to stay away from him. When you spend time with Elend Venture, you put the operation and your fellow crew members in jeopardy. Understood? Vin looked down, nodding. Why do I suspect that staying away from him is the last thing she intends to do? Bloody hell. I don't have time to deal with this right now. Go get some sleep. We can talk more about this later. And then I immediately thought, no, you need to have this conversation right now. Vin is a loose cannon. She will leave right now and go seek him out. You need to have this conversation now, Kelsier.
What have you learned? Have you not learned anything from her previous actions? I did think of her really feeling quite... getting a bit of a shock when he says, you're putting us in danger, or whatever. Maybe her wanting to be feeling guilty about that. But then again, knowing her way that, like where she did this with Calcia, where she said, okay, she'll go back home or she'll go to Clubs' shop, and then she just followed him anyway. Like, that is in her as a character. So I would not put it past her to go and find freaking Elend right now, because she is a loose cannon. She's a teenager with hormones raging, and she's absolutely convinced this guy is actually more than he could be. We don't know what he is. I mean, I have hope, but yeah, she has that really crushing hope. You know what I'm saying? She's crushing on the guy. So she's going to want to believe the best thing about him. She was already making plans to have them part of the crew, Kevin.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, look. What if the Vin Elend arc does not end in book 1, but they do the rebellion? All of the noble houses basically split up into their own factions, and Elend becomes the leader of a rebellious noble faction who's more sympathetic to the Ska, but there's still tension there, and Vin is like the go-between between the Ska faction and the sympathetic nobleman faction.
She'll be the twixt. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I don't know. That is a possibility. I feel like it's probably not going to go even that well. I don't know, but I do see
Romeo and Juliet is a tragedy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I do also see Venture this whole thing, it's not this whole deal of him being against his dad is going to come to fruition at some point if he lives long enough. But yeah, Vin, yeah, I think you're right. I didn't when I first read this, I was just like, oh, okay, they've had enough of the conversation because he's placed the fact that she is not supposed to like him. Okay, in so many words, by him saying, by Calcia presenting these arguments and saying he is not what you think he is and all of that, he has basically said to her, stop crushing on him. It's jeopardizing everything. Oh shit! Fire alarm! Fire alarm!
I heard it for like 2 seconds, but you're a father.
Yes.
Mean father.
Well, no, he's saying. Oh, and didn't you love that? Speaking of Calcia as a father, him saying, "I distinctly told you. I distinctly remember telling you not to go near him or whatever, to stay away from him." That was such a dad line. That's like because he's like, hey, "I remember. I told you the thing." So it's not like you could have forgotten it. That was really a dad line. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, what he's done with his discussion with her is present to her, "Oh, by the way, you aren't this romance thing. It's not happening." So that was enough for me upon the first read through. But what you've brought up here is very valid. She's a loose cannon. She can nod and say, and she can be torn a little bit and say, "Oh, I don't want to put the crew in danger because I want to be useful and I want to show them that I'm worth it." But then do not
She's young and
underestimate.
stupid.
Yes, do not underestimate the power of hormones and young stupidity. Don't worry, that's just going to happen. So I think you're so right. He should not have just said, "Go to sleep. I don't have time to deal with this." Unfortunately, that's not how it works when you have a teenager to deal with.
Yeah.
You don't just, I don't have to, we'll deal with this later. Oh, honey, no. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see what Vin does with this.
I wish I had taken notes this week. I totally forgot to, but there were like a handful of other like super subtle things that I wanted to talk about that I'm sure I missed during this recording session. But all in all, I think this was a very good chapter.
Why don't we say, if there is time, well, if there are things that you really, really have to talk about, we just slot them into the next, we just refer to them quickly in the next episode.
Sounds good.
We've done that before.
Yeah. If you haven't subscribed to ThatDarnKitteh yet, highly recommend you do so. She does really wonderful streams on either Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and then most certainly on Thursdays.
Keep your notifications on, and check out community posts and whatever, where I also remind you, where you wouldn't need the reminding if you subscribe to No One Asked You podcast. First, you like the video, and then you subscribe. That would be great. We'll see you in the next episode then.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye. The edge of beggar fashion, maybe. I did it again. The edge of fashion, Magger. The edge of beggar fashion, maybe. No, don't yell, Chinsia. Relax. I didn't tell you this so you would. I think she's an Alamancer.